out for another walk today. I've come up onto the Purbeck Ridge and I'm going to do a walk through to Corfe Castle today. So this is the Creech Viewpoint car park where I've parked. Right down in the distance, in the gap in the hills there, you can see is Warborough Bay, and I'm going to head along the ridgetop track to Corfe Castle. So this is a whole ridge of hills with amazing views down both sides. So it's a route well worth doing because yeah, it's absolutely beautiful walking along the ridge top and just looking at the views, and I'll show you some of those as we go. So this is the early part of the walk, following this nice track. It would be quite boggy underfoot, but it's actually cold today. I think the air temperature is probably just above freezing, but certainly with the wind chill, it's quite breezy blowing across here. The wind chill factor, I would say it's definitely below freezing. And I've even had to put my mitts on today because cold hands are not good, especially with filming. But yeah, it's a lovely track to walk. And that's where I've come from so far. I'm parked down the bottom there. Beyond the place where I've parked is actually the Ministry of Defence firing range, Lulworth firing range, so that's all closed off. Probably can't see, but the red flag is flying, which indicates that the range walks are closed. So yeah, so I'm heading this way towards Corfe Castle. I'm walking west to east to Corfe Castle. And then when I get to Corfe Castle, I'll probably get something to eat. Probably be late lunch, I should imagine, in Corfe Castle. And then I'm probably going to come back the same way, I think, because it's very boggy everywhere still. And the benefit of these hills, the Purbeck Hills, is they're chalk. And hopefully it shouldn't be too bad, but I think it'll be sensible probably to stick to the ridge path. Means an out and back walk again, but I actually don't mind that. I say, with the views, and it's nice walking, so it's probably going to make more sense than doing a circuit, which is what I would normally try to do. Anyway, it's a beautiful day again, cold but lovely and sunny. And actually there is a bit of warmth in the sun if I stand here, because you've got a bit of a hedge beside me, shrubbery, keeping the wind off. You could almost think it's quite warm. Oh, and there's a couple of sparrows there, look. Look at that view. We haven't walked very far either yet. So you can see the dip in the hills there. The Purbeck Hills stretches straight ahead, as you can see. That's heading towards Flowers Barrow. The other side is essentially the coast path. In between is the gap is Warborough Bay, and then in the distance you can see Portland, the Isle of Portland. And then on one side we've got the heathland of the inland Dorset, and on the other side we've got the Purbeck Valley, which will see more of later. But this, I just think that's a lovely view. I've taken this picture so many times and I've done this walk so many times. I just love it. So the first interesting feature of this walk is coming up. Just on the left. Like a castle appearing out of the mist, except it's out of the undergrowth. So this is Grange Arch, now owned by the National Trust. It's actually a folly that was built by the owners of Creech Grange. If I come over this way, should be able to see down in the valley Creech Grange, which is one of 4 manor houses in Purbeck, and that's basically the person lived there, decided they wanted something they could look up to from their house, a folly, and so they built Grange Arch. It's since been separated from the house and it's owned now by the National Trust. And it's quite useful because, amongst other things, you can get sheltered out of the wind here. And there's some little seating areas. Well, a kind of sentry. Mind you, that's really a short sentry to use that. But yeah, so that's Grange Arch, and I used to be able to climb up on top of that when I was younger, up to the top. Not anymore, sadly.
The folly was built by Dennis Bond, a lawyer and politician who at the time owned Creech Grange. That was in 1746, but he didn't enjoy it for long because he died a year later. It stands at the top of the 200-metre high Ridgeway Hill. This is actually known as a hump, that is, a hill of 100 and upwards metres prominence. And yes, that is an official category in the list of British hill heights.
And this is the Purbecks that I love. Grassy paths. These are great. The track I was on earlier was a bit humpy bumpy for that stretch, but from here it's nice grassy paths and easy walking. So I'm looking west now. I said earlier that across to the left of the valley is essentially the coast path. Technically it's not the coast path because you can't see that, it's down below those hills. So looking towards this, in the distance you have 2 little humpy hills, which I don't know if I can point those out. Somewhere in here, if I'm looking right, 2 humpy hills, that's Tyneham Cap. So you'd have to go over that and down the other side to get to the coast path. Sweeping round, we'd have Swire Head in the distance over there, and this is obviously where I'm walking. This is the lovely grassy paths. This is what I call barefoot path, barefoot walking. This would be if it were summer, because it's lovely and grassy and it's nice. And from here I'm looking east now. You can see the Purbeck stretching all the way across in the distance towards what would be Ballard Point, which would be the farthest easterly point of the Purbeck Hills. And the length from Flowers Barrow in the west right along the hilltops through to Ballard Point in the east would be around about 12 miles to walk it end to end, but I'm obviously not going to do all that today. So I've got to go down and up now, so I'm heading down to what is essentially like a pass, I suppose, in the gap in the hills, and then I'm going to climb back up over the other side again. Now, something interesting in this picture is further down this track on the left ridge, that was a quarry originally, a real blot on the landscape. And it's amazing that since that quarry closed, how nature has reclaimed it, and it's barely noticeable now at all from the rest of the hillside, really. It's just amazing the way nature takes over when man stops interfering, and I love it. In the distance, incidentally, you can see Poole Harbour. Don't know if that will come out, but you can see Poole Harbour, and in fact right in the distance you can see Bournemouth and Bournemouth Beach, Sandbanks Beach, where I was in my last video. Anyway, I keep walking. I don't know if this sound's going to come out very well on this because it's pretty windy up here, so I'm guessing that might interfere, and you might not be able to hear a word I'm saying, so I'm probably talking to myself or talking to the wind. Anyway, I'm enjoying the walk and I'm enjoying recording it, so let's hope it comes out. Merry Christmas to you too. So that's what was the quarry, now no longer a quarry. Go out onto the road just for 100 yards or so, join the track the other side. Oh, at the top again. Hello. Actually, this path is probably slightly better again. It's nice and grassy, but the wind is dropped. Well, it hasn't dropped. I'm out of the wind because the path is slightly down from the ridge top, and there's trees along the ridge as well, so they're just shielding me from the wind, so it's quite pleasant around here. And ahead of us you can see Corfe Castle already appearing, or the village of Corfe Castle, which is down in here. And down this way, down in here, we have Church Knoll, another little village, lovely village in Purbeck. One of the things I always do in the winter is to bring some hot bovril. So cheers, time for a drink, I think. So good on a cold day like today, and it's a good spot as well. This log's been here for years, many years, and it's beginning to rot away, but benefit of it, as I said, is there's trees behind me, so I'm out of the wind a bit, so I can enjoy sitting and having my bovril. So yeah, it's great. Thank you, log, for your support. He's one of my supporters, supports the Dorset Rambler, especially when I sit down on him, which I've done many times over the years. Anyway, time to get walking again, I think. Corfe Castle beckons. So this is a path that I've walked all my life. Even as a kid, I used to get dragged kicking and screaming along the Purbeck Hills by my parents, and I hated it. It's weird how much I disliked it, and they were always 100 yards ahead of me. I was always dragging my feet behind, and yet I must have built something into me, because now I absolutely love walking anywhere, to be honest, but these Purbeck Hills have a special place in my heart. I remember walking along here once when I was, it can't have been any more than 10, and back in those days we had nothing, didn't have any kind of outdoor gear at all, so I was actually walking in my school uniform, which is all I had, and the only coat I had was my school blazer, which was maroon in colour. And we walked along here, and unfortunately got caught out by some rain, and none of us had raincoats, and it absolutely poured down while I was walking along this part of the hills with my mum and dad, and we got drenched. Nowhere to shelter, of course, so we made it down into Corfe Castle, and when I took my school jacket off, which was soaking wet, the white shirt that I had on underneath was a lovely shade of pink, because all the dye had come out of my school jacket and stained my shirt a lovely shade of pink. Funny how some things kind of stick in our memories, and that's one of my memories, walking along here. The other one is skylarks, of course, because there's another place where there's loads of skylarks normally. I can't hear any at the moment. I guess they don't sing at this time of the year, do they? So from here, you can see Corfe Castle village now ahead of me, and you can just see the top of the castle. So I'm getting on that towards my lunch stop. Hopefully get a cup of tea or something in Corfe Castle before walking back, probably the same way, I think. I'm so looking forward to spring. Oh, no, not that type. Wrong spring. Oh, the sun's come out again, which is good. Corfe Castle village actually has a steam train running through it, the Swanage Railway, preserved steam railway. I can't hear anything today, so I'm guessing it's not running. What is it? It's Tuesday today, but it's January, so I'm guessing they're not running. Gradually Corfe Castle looms in front of us. Got to head down over now. Steep hill this is, so I'm glad I got my trusty pole with me. It's a bit hard on the ankles going down here. So I've reached the bottom now. I've got to go across the bridge into Corfe Castle. This is the little stream that runs through, and on the left is the remains of what was once a mill. Not much left of it now. But it's a nice little spot, this is. The river doesn't look big enough to run a mill, to be honest, but I guess there used to be a mill pond where they could build up with a head of water to drive it. But I'm going to go back up and go over the bridge and into Corfe Castle.
Dating back to the 11th century, Corfe Castle stands in a gap in the Purbeck Hills. It was substantially altered and extended in the 12th and 13th century. At the time of the Civil War it was a royalist stronghold, but it was taken by the parliamentarians in 1645 and subsequently sacked. It is this historical act of vandalism that has resulted in the ruin we see today, although weather and erosion have of course played their part.
So I'm in Corfe Castle now. This is the little Corfe Castle tea rooms. Strangely, garden's quite empty. I wonder why that is. I wonder if it's because it's cold. Great spot though. Haven't got my lunch yet, but it's got a nice view of the castle from where I'm sat, and it's actually quite a nice sunny garden. So I shall enjoy this. Look at that sky. Amazing now. Right, that's me done. Time to get back on the trail again. Bit decadent for me this is, because to stop and have a bought sandwich and sit in the tea rooms is not my norm. My norm is more likely to be a damp log or a hard rock in the middle of nowhere with a homemade sandwich. But hey, I was coming through Corfe Castle, so why not use it? Now let's head out. So I'm back climbing up the hill now, away from Corfe Castle. We'll have a last look at it before we bid farewell. And head on up there. actually like walking back on this walk. I mean, it's great both ways, but one of the things, I mean, it's always getting towards the end of the day that I'm walking back along this ridge, and invariably I'm walking into a sunset. I think we've probably got a little while yet before it sets, but hopefully before I get back to the car and Creech Viewpoint car park, hopefully the sun will be going down. Unfortunately there's no clouds, of course, so the sunset will be a orange ball rather than a lit up sky, but it'll be lovely anyway. And yeah, it's just so lovely now because the light is beautiful for photography and video, slanting across the valley. And look at that for a view down there, just amazing. Wonder which way the prevailing wind blows up here. Ah, strange, all the trees lean like that. Crazy. Hello again. Smile, you're on candid camera. Is going down now. In fact, the sun just to the right of the sun, the double hump hill, that's Tyneham Cap again. It's a beautiful sunset. And here comes our tractor again. We passed this guy earlier, or he passed me earlier, so he's still running up and down these hills. Looks like I'm about to lose the sun. It's not quite sunset time, but as often seems to happen when I'm out walking, there's a bank of cloud in the west, and the sun is about to drop behind it, I think. Never mind, it's been a totally awesome day. I've not quite finished yet. Probably got another mile or so to do back along the rough track that we came up earlier, past Grange Arch again. And by the time I get back to the car, I think it's going to be another 9-mile walk, which is good. The last one I did was 9 miles, but that was along beaches, flat, smooth, easy on the feet or ankles. This has been a bit tougher, much more up and down, and rough underfoot, bit of mud around. So for me it's a really good progression, and yeah, it's just great to be out on the hilltops again. It's just been an awesome day. Yeah, sun's about to disappear. Should just about make it back to the car before we lose the light, I think. So I hope you've enjoyed walking with me anyway. It's been great. So thanks for stopping by. And I just need to keep on walking now to get back to the car. But for now, thanks for coming. And this is the Dorset Rambler saying, until next time.